name is Lyle Kenny. I was born and brought up in Cullybackey district, and I thought it would be interesting to make a film about the village and its people and places as I have known them. My birthplace was at Drumrankin to the northwest, the home of my grandfather Samuel Mackay and my grandmother Rose Hannah from Corky. My mother was Margaret, or Maggie Mackay, and my father was James Kenny from Laymore, just outside Ballymena. Several of my Mackay uncles emigrated to Australia in the early years, but as I am the youngest of a family of 7, I have no recollection of them. Indeed, I don't remember my eldest brother Sam, who also emigrated when he was only 18 years old, and I was about 8 months old. My late mother told me more about Uncle William Mackay, who farmed at the old homestead for a while before emigrating. Uncle William was an entertainer, an elocutionist, and a singer. He was praised presenter in one of the churches in the Hochel village for a number of years. Sadly, my uncles and my brothers are all dead now, but I have many cousins and nephews and nieces in Australia. Some of these cousins were able to visit Ireland over the years, and more so recently, and it is with these kinfolks in mind that this film is made, so as to update their knowledge of their ancestral roots. There must be 101 things of interest that they could learn of. From our old home, I usually entered the village at the Hochel Port Glenone Road's end, and it is from this point that I propose to take you on a videographic tour of this progressive County Antrim village, Cullybackey. A look at the map will show that the nearest large commercial town is Ballymena on the River Braid. Other villages in the rural district include Kells and Connor, Bruchshane, Galgorm, Gracehill, Ahochel and Port Glenone, which is about 9 miles away on the River Bann. Out to the left there. Cullybackey, however, is on the River Main and just over 3 miles northwards from Ballymena. The railway line through to Coleraine and Portrush, or Londonderry, passes through, and our station is marked by the red dot on the map. The present population is about 2,200, and there are signs of more houses being built and new businesses being set up. So I would imagine that that number will increase, together with more prosperity, we hope. There's a tourist attraction convenient to here, maintained by the Ballymena Borough Council Services Department. It is open to the public during the summer months. Arthur Cottage, built around 1780, was the birthplace of William Arthur in 1797. He emigrated to North America with others about 1818. He married an American girl, Malvina Stone, and their eldest son, Chester Allen, was born October 1830. He was a lawyer and held several important posts in government. Eventually he became vice president in 1881, and after the untimely death of President Garfield, he became president at the age of 51. Chester Allen Arthur died in 1886 and was buried at Albany, New York. We'll have a look inside the cottage now to see how things used to be. from the village?
No, I live over at Carnley.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well,
Outside the village.
you have a busy time. Right, thanks very much.
Okay.
We're still in the townland of Green, which means blackthorn. This wee factory and sales firm make kitchen and bedroom units to customers' exact requirements. Mr. Fleming moved his business from the old main works site beside the river in the village because they were demolishing that. He also built his bungalow on this farm here. I'm sure he had no difficulty getting a kitchen fitted out for his missus. This is the factory premises here now. Jim Fleming built that bungalow on what used to be Orr's farm. There was quite a family of Orrs. Most of them emigrated to Australia. There was one of the daughters married John Evans in Cullybackey, the shoemaker. That was the family home of Jane and Andy. It was thatched at that time. You can see where the windows had been built up. I can remember the old well that was there with the windlass and bucket and flap lids. It could have been considered quite dangerous today, but that was reasonably safe then. Tom, in his latter years, had renovated that house and lived till his death. He's not so many years dead now. Just convenient to that, there's this old building which used to be a school, believe it or not, and it was built apparently before Arthur House even. It's called Swan's Place now because I think temporarily Swan lived in it. You can see it's isolated now away in the corner of a field and more or less abandoned. Leader of the village, Mary McCord, has a set up here. She does fashion jewellery and makes garments and whatever.
front here to direction of the train for you. Moving again. At the minute we're just deciding what decoration goes on the ground. So it's really that looks okay to me, doesn't it? You can do it tighter, I mean, if you want it to.
I'll be getting a letter from Australia wondering who this girl is like.
That's strange stuff. Well, if you can give me a few orders, just it's true. And they can have, I mean, right afterwards they can have them. That's lovely thought, so it is. I'll do it myself, but not together, so we can
I had to get the
decide what's going
idea
where.
of the thing. Here's a comparatively new place, a nursery set up by a young man called Bertie Orr. He's a son of Willie John. He was a very good neighbour of ours, more or less my generation. But his grandfather, Robert, was a good friend of my father's too. He's quite well established with potted plants already, but more the young trees type of thing. There's a view of Slamish from his yard. He has a few of these plastic tunnels up already and has been working with plants, but he requires more space. He has, as you see, quite a few conifers and the like already on the roof. But next season he hopes to expand more. He's putting up a new plastic tunnel here. His father is giving him a hand. And that's so much cheaper than glass, and that's really very accommodating. Actually, you could ship it just like a poultry house if you wanted to. Semi-portable, a wee bit of putting together. That's young Bertie there. I wish him every success. This used to be the manse of the Methodist Church. When the old church was in use, it was built about 1870, and the Reverend Armstrong was resident there when I was going to school. The immediate neighbour is the manse of the Cunningham Memorial Church. The Reverend and Mrs. McElveen were there in my time. Reverend Sam. He was very interested in classical music, I remember. His wife was a qualified doctor. I remember giving me a potion for a cold. Ammoniated tincture of quinine, she called it. It was powerful stuff. But that'd be good. This is Dreen Road, Faith Mission, Prayer Union Hall. You can see where the shield used to be in the gable. I can remember that well when I used to be going past to school. I see there's new development now. Those used to be old cottages, old houses there. Village blinds. This is owned by Mr. and Mrs. McCloy. These premises used to be a supermarket, but they've used it very successfully for the manufacture of various types of blinds. You'll see the outfit here in a minute or two. They have a paint shop, of course, as well, and wallpaper and whatever. Quite a busy place. Machine that was got recently, quite expensive to understand, of cutting those verticals, modern vertical blind. It's more accurate and less tedious than trying to do it by hand. Tommy used to have a hardware shop in this area, but it was in a smaller way. The village isn't got so big now that it takes have to be more to provide the service.
Please wake up your mind.
Yeah. I think that would be the best, wouldn't it? Yeah. Isn't it lovely? Mm-hmm. It is, yeah. Right, so many do you want? What have we
Well,
got?
there was 7 to give us the last time.
Right.
So is there a price difference in it?
There are.
Can you afford to probably buy something?
No,
up?
but you know, but whatever's handy for you.
Yeah.
Just ask mine.
And that was so very, very rare. It's nice and plain, even though.
5 years in business this month. This was Willie Blair's garage, now run by Hayes Brothers. Willie had a bungalow across the road here that James Hanna built for him. Just when I was a schoolboy again. His wife Lizzie and Hanna together. She used to signal to him that the tea was ready, was setting a cup up in the windowsill there. Certainly improved that corner. That used to be an old sludge place just in there. My brother Tommy had a hardware shop underneath, and they used that garage. He rented it from Mr. and Mrs. Blair, and I had a good wee hardware shop going for a number of years. Did some electrical work, charged batteries and whatever. That is an old picture of what Willie's garage was like before it was renovated. There was some change to the front there. Those petrol pumps were fairly new. They weren't there in Willie's time. His was one of them was hand operated and the other was electric. An old Avery, I remember. While we're in this area, I could look at some old pictures of the main works. William Young, J.P., bought the premises in 1891, and his family run it ever since, more or less. The firm is called Dramona and Main Limited. Local people know that there's none of it left at all now. Osbert Jackson was manager of the main works, as I recall. In my time, his house, Hill Head, is still standing way up at the top of the hill yonder at the back. Originally, the bridge, it was a wall was across, not a railing. The Cunning Memorial Church now to the left. Built by Mrs. Jane and Catherine Cunningham of Ardverness. It was built in 1880-81 during the ministry of Dr. Buick. Built on the site of an old original church, which dated from 1727. It was called the Sundial Meeting House. The main works was built early 19th century by Mr. Davison as a bleach works, and it had other sidelines. He also built Hill Head House. There's an unusual view from Main Street, from beside McNally's pub. It used to be just about the entrance to the main works. That stone building on the right was one of the offices. And before the chimneys were removed, as you can see, I remember Mrs. Spence used to live down there on the left, the wee house on the left. Another view of the bridge. Now just at the back of the garage, and the back of that village blind premises that we had been in earlier on. There's a tyre depot around here. They do quite a business, both tractors and car tyres. The farmers get a lot of work done there, very handy for them. And then there's the markets near hand. You see the cattle market, the farmers in the area very frequently. I can sort of hear myself speaking now when the compressor switched off. R.A. Peacock is the proprietor. He's built up a good stock of tyres here. There are so many sizes, I suppose, that it takes a big range to cover everything. There'll be imperial and metric, I suppose, a mixture. Wheel balancing is a necessity nowadays because of the high revs and small diameter. In the same yard, there's a television repairman. Sales and repairs. Call him Horrell, his name is. He's quite well established too. This village has increased in size, and the community around it, that there's room for all these type. And TV is popular, as you know. Cullybackey cattle market. The market used to be held in Ballymena, but because of development, it seemed wiser to move it out to a rural district. It seems to have been quite busy since that. Cullybackey is reasonably central, you know, for farmers to meet. You have the market at least twice a week. Different animals, different days, no doubt. But it seems to be a busy place. Just as the purchasers have to agree on prices, the farmers agree what they're going to accept, and I suppose they inform the auctioneer what the minimum acceptable will be. auctioneers of a language of their own, understood by farmers, no doubt, or by the cattle dealers. I think it's a sort of social event among farmers as well. They keep up to date with market trends and so on. There's a farmer there who's been going a long time to the markets up in the hills. An expert in cattle buying, cattle judging. Margaret. Oh, Margaret. That's what I heard him say, Alice. You live in a village, huh?
Ballymena.
Yeah, you could be back to go then.
Where we go?
Was it only 2 days a week or how often?
Here, 2 days a week. I usually work in market in Ballymena.
Oh, right, so you're familiar with that too. Who's the girl up say the auctioneer?
Helen.
Alright.
And that's her sister, the other girl that was in the office.
Here's an old established firm based originally in Ballymena. There's the famous River Main and Cullybackey Bridge. You get the occasional fisherman sitting along the banks here at certain times. We'll go way up along the river up, further up the home here to see how it looks. This is the weir or carry that was used at one time to feed water to the main works turbines. That footpath has been added to the bridge within the last 10 years by building new piers against the existing bridge to support the footpath for added safety for pedestrians. Memorial Church Hall. And that's Mr. Joe Linton, the caretaker, and his wife Maureen helps out too, I think. She might even be the official caretaker. good cook at home,
She's excellent.
Yes.
She's excellent. They said that how we were on holidays and the people missed us. You see?
No, the only thing that I'm bad at doing is making a bit of toast.
Oh, that's all.
22. Thank you.
That's great stuff.
There you are. 8p.
Thank you very much.
If it's too hot, just let me know that.
There's the Orange Hall, built in 1900, opened Easter Monday, the 8th of April, 1901. I remember Mrs. Gordon used to be caretaker and lived underneath the hall when I was at school. Going back a year or two again. The Masonic Hall was built in 1882 from some funds from America, I understand. The picture there showing the original hall, there again the caretaker's house underneath. I assume that's what it had been. That old building to the left was a blacksmith's forge, a man called Coleman, Samuel Coleman. I suppose he shoed horses and whatever at that time. While we're in this area, we'll have a look at the old main works site, which had been demolished, or the site where the building was. This was taken across the valley from Hill Head House. Give me a vantage point. There's a picture taken in the opposite direction. Not by me, obviously, but I think it would be from the church site. There's what used to be Joe Simpson's farm away up there at the top. I think Adam H. Sherman owns that now. He's going to build a new house. It's just in the process of demolition at the moment. There's the old Methodist church. It's been used for scouts and so on. There's a picture of what used to be called Miller's Row between the two halls. It was so called because of the old corn mill that was at one time across the road opposite it. But it belongs to the main works of the old building. There's a picture of it there now. Leonard Wiseman has made an excellent Spar supermarket from that. That's about the entrance to the main works. There used to be buildings close up, just enough, wide enough for the big gates which were kept locked at night. That's used to be McNally's pub. Tom McGrath has a very successful insurance business going there for a number of years. Tom used to be interested in photography, as I recall. There's an old picture of Cullybackey, old Cullybackey Main Street. You can see what is the village inn now, right at the top there. Those houses belong to the main works as well. Mr. Thompson lived in the end next to us here. That was Dr. McKelvey's house, and his surgery was next door. There's Wilkinson's music shop. Plenty of accordions there. And amplifiers, whatever. Been going a long time now. Associated with some of the accordion orchestra too. So, There was an old house here dated 1850, bought by the YMCA in 1890 with public subscriptions. It was last in use in 1914. I can just barely remember it. There was a man called Lamont Neely had a shoe repair business on the wee lower part to the left there. I remember bringing shoes down to him. That's Albert Wiley's pub. There's been a few changes of hands there over the years. Tom Stewart used to run the Red Shop to Chambers Harvey, the chemist, and the house on this end was Mrs. McSpadden, who taught the children at school. Way in the 1900s, there was people called Gordon who had Albert Wiley's house, or his bar. There's an old picture of old Cullybackey, see thatched houses. I can remember the thatch being removed from this road to the left here where Harvey's shop was. The two old cottages near the top before Neola were demolished to build that house of Sergeant Foster's about 1920. Reedmaker built it. Mrs. McMorrin lived here. Moyola, they called the house. Her father was Walter Welsh, who was, I suppose, the owner of it before her, and Dr. Simpson was there at one stage. You see where the trellis work, where the roses used to be up round the door. It's a nice place, that, you know, in the early days. Pity that that's demolished, but I suppose it gets too old like the rest of us. Dan Smith, the baker, uses that for a car park. That's his bakery to the right there. His son runs it now. The shop at the front, John Evans used to have a cobbler business there. That's Smith's bakery there to the left. He may own the whole row, I'm not sure. I remember then Colville Nickel had a shop here, and Davy Rock was there for a number of years. And a man called Hugh Moore used to be a pig dealer. There were several houses, dwelling houses there. That was Dr. Moffat's house in my time, a medical man. I think Miss Leach built it at one stage. The other side of the road was that house of Thompson's that we looked at earlier, and the new police station. The part of the new, and the chemist was newish. That was Jack Bowles' garage there, his motor engineer. And then we're up the length of the Village Inn now. There was a blacksmith shop away to the back there. Martha Marks, he lived on Pottinger Street. He used to shoe horses, of course, as Smithies did, but he also hooked wheels and that type of thing. Mr. Stevenson spent a lot of money on that. Has made it, has changed. That's as it looked before the change from Tom Stewart at his day. Well, Tom's daughter, I think, ran it maybe after him. But there's a boss man there now. Well, just before the work started on the renovation. There was a fellow at school with me called Wiley Hutchinson. He was about my age group. He was a grocer all his life. He was a manager of a nationwide grocery firm. His son runs that shop shortly. A bit of renovation. These shops here, the late Charlie McGee had a butcher shop along there. It could be that his son Seamus still owns it, I don't know. But we'll take them in turn. First the hairdresser. You're not the boss, eh?
Oh, yes.
Oh, very good, you're a young boss.
Thank you.
Are you married? It's none of my business, you know.
Next year.
Oh, very nice, right. The girl's name is Sharon Lee, isn't that a very nice name? She has a very successful business going there, too. The shop next door sell baby clothes or junior clothes. The mother and daughter in charge aren't particularly anxious to be interviewed, but with their permission I said I would film them in their shop. Two very pleasant ladies they are too. There's a shop where I got some stuff for my garden. Great variety. Good service too. Leach built that, the biggest of those, farthest away those two big houses, and Jimmy McGaw, the father of the school teachers, lived in that other one. There's an old picture of that side of the village from that time. You see Charlie McGee's premises there, where they are now. People called McHenry used to have a shop along there too on the left, and the pub there as usual. And what used to be McGaw's house, there's still one retired school teacher, and I have got permission to look at this car, a light Rover. I used to have one of those in the early days. Mr. and Mrs. McWhirter, as well as having this interest, they're interested in their gardening, and they keep bees, and just a retirement interest, you might say.
Porter, yes.
And Mrs.
And Jean.
Schoolmaster, you know.
Yes, retired.
Thank you. This is the old police station built 1868. Now used by the British Legion on the ground floor, and upstairs Nolene Spence has a very successful ladies' hairdressing business. She's been going a lot of years now, and I understand she's very, very efficient. This school, built in 1937, extended 1963-64, and then further extensions in 1977. While I was there, Bob McIver was principal. Mrs. McSpadden, she taught the infants, but I think she was vice principal as well, and Megan McGaw, Martha Carson, May McCracken, Ernie Watt, who became principal eventually, and Mr. Wiley, or Sticky Wiley as he was known. The caretaker was the very popular John McAleese. I had many, many happy days there, and some sad ones I suppose, but it was a great school. It lives in my memory, that place. The original school built there in the 1900, year 1900, was to be replaced meant for the old school that had been used up to that date on the old Ballymena road. That's the illustration of what the old school looked like. Sorry I had to stop that woman in her tracks to show you this. But I just barely remember that school. The boys and the girls were separated, and McGavitt was principal of the boys' school, and Miss Gore was the girls' school. About 25 years ago, I used to dabble in radio and television of the age, and I got to know the proprietor of this shop, Pat Rafferty. He's a qualified engineer, of course I wasn't maybe, but he's advanced considerably from that, has his own business here, very successful one too. Gives a good service to the area, things about him. Well, he's not the only TV man, but he seems to be well established here anyway. I always find that we're very fair in his dealings. This was Kate Herbison's house and shop during my school days, and Jeannie, her daughter, attended, it's mostly a sweetie shop. Jeannie became Mrs. Sutter, and she lives just across the road in the bungalow. Her brother Bob had a blacksmith shop against the school boundary wall, and we often heard the anvil ringing from the whatever classrooms were on that side. You're going a few years now, Pat?
Aye.
These two old cottages, I remember there was an Evans family lived there. The men folk were directors of an export firm in Belfast called Cullen, Allen and Company. I remember Mary Evans, an elderly sister who lived there in my time. That farm used to be, that was a farmhouse belonging to the estate. That house that Dr. Gasson built was originally part of Evans's farm, and the RP manse there was built on the land as well, but that was of course a few generations before that. In my time, the Reverend Samuel Linus was there, and then Reverend W.J. Gilmore, and now Reverend Wallace McCollum is in charge. He's a young family as well now. That bungalow was, the lady I mentioned earlier lives there, Mrs. Sutter. She used to be Jeannie Herbison. That house in the middle, my father and mother lived there about 1918 for a short period. He used to work to Mr. Evans, and that was their house as well. This house at the corner, what used to be two, Sammy Marshall, a solicitor, and his brother lived in them. As you see, it's all one now. There's been quite a few people there. I remember Robert Getty had a business going, and there was chips and so on, that type of thing. There was Bobby Cotter as well, and now Simpsons have a very successful stationery and grocery business going there. This is the end of Pottinger Street. You can see the Cullybackey secondary school, or the high school, way at the top yonder. I think we'll maybe go up there and have a closer look at that, see how things are. Playing fields and a sports track there, all the facilities required. A very accommodating building. That's the top end of Pottinger Street. There used to be a blacksmith, Matthew Marks lived there. His house was up to the right. It's demolished now for some reason. My quarters came from there, those two buildings. There was a hardware merchant and there was school teachers, quite a family of them. That used to be the old Elam church before they built the new one. Quite a substantial wee building. I see it's used for religious purposes yet. There's a man charged radio batteries when I was going to school called Joe Miller. He lived at 25. That's semi-detached, and his brother was at 23. Norman Kennedy lives on number 21 in the lane. When does school start again?
Like 2 weeks.
Are you glad about that?
No. I am.
You like to go to school?
I am. I go to school now.
Which school do you go to?
The one around the corner.
Oh, the Buick.
I'm going there. And that's where I get my baby.
All right.
I'm getting the baby too.
Are you? Very good. When is that?
Easter. One for the Easter present.
What's your name?
Lee McGaw.
Neil?
Lee.
Oh, Lee. Lee what?
Lee McGaw.
Very good. I remember a man, a taximan called Frank Galt lived there, just at that gateway on this side of it, and his son Bobby on the other side. He used to do all the weddings in our family. My father sold milk, as I may have said, in the village, and along here they had quite a few customers. I remember there's one lady, Mrs. Hayes, lived up along there. I don't know why I remember her name more than any other, but I just remember. Norman Kennedy lives just off Pottinger Street. He's a retired motor mechanic and garage foreman. He has that unique ability to use both hands and brains to advantage. In his retirement, he took a notion of doing woodwork, and he made cases for clocks, mainly grandfather clocks. The finished article was so excellent that he got orders for them, and indeed he's exported some of these. He was saying at one stage that he should have started it sooner. He really enjoyed the job. You see, that's a lot of the thing. He imports the mechanisms from Germany, as far as I understand, mainly there anyway. Norman puts this wee plaque inside the larger clocks. I think it's a very good statement, that. A very true one. And now we're on the main street again. The post office there to the right, the greengrocer in the centre, and then a very old established butcher shop on the left, Moore's. Remember Big John Moores, we used to call him, was going in my father's time. My father did a barter system with him, a week's meat, a week's milk. The refrigerator cabinets making a bit of noise.
Your grandfather? No, it's your grandfather. Just your father, maybe.
My grandfather too, he was on he started at one, you know.
Now the greengrocer. This firm, Day Fresh, have quite a few branches. I think the fresh is the operative word. The stock always does seem to be quite fresh. I think they distribute quite a lot of stuff to other shops as well. I meant to ask this girl her name.
Do you be closing Wednesday or anything?
No, we don't close at all. No.
Now the post office.
That's great.
Beside Moore's the butchers was Ernie Watt and Beth, Norman Kennedy's mother, the grocer's shop there. Then this other row of houses, Constable Mitchell from the local police station lived, I think about the middle one there. And Dr. Huston's house, who helped to bring me into the world, lived there at that White House. This was Mrs. Ray lived here. She, the part of the house to the right was the post office. Mrs. Ray's maiden name was Jeannie Murdoch. She served her time in the post office with Miss Leach, one of the Leach girls. She ran the post office in the village midway about 1912 or so. This house, the part of the house that was post office, you see, has been used as a butcher's shop. And next door then was Manor Bakery. There's a lot of traffic noise there with the shop door being open. The girl was saying I should have been there earlier in the day when there was more stock, but a good sign of it when it's being sold like that. In fact, I came in for a sandwich. They do sell sandwiches and carry out tea and whatever. It's a very useful thing.
Do you think so?
Thanks very much. I wasn't flattering her, you know, I was complimenting her in the wee shop. And it was Sam Sands and Jack Kernigan, man lived along there. Sammy Buick, I think it's Jack Watt now, it's not anymore. My sister Rosemary knows the rest of the folks there. And this is the... late father was elder there at church. Trinity Road Industrial Estate here now. Just take them as they come, more or less. This is another kitchen fitter outfit. I came actually when the men were on their lunch break. Maybe just as well, I wasn't getting in their way. Be able to wander around. Mr. Fullerton allowed me free hand. Actually, it would have been more fair to him if I'd let him know I was coming, but he's setting up a showroom here and he hadn't it really completed yet. Oh, he's fairly well established now. Don't worry about that. He'll have his own contacts, I'm sure, like the rest. And further along here, Tom Labbert has two businesses in one. I think the fishing equipment's an interest he has in any case. Maybe took it over from someone else. But the Wellington furnishing is really his main business. He's quite well established. He used to be in Wellington Street in Ballymena. So I think he knows me slightly. Traveller in with him at the moment, and I don't want to And they're up. Quite a stock of stuff here. I think my sister is down getting some fittings for her new house. businesses speak for themselves, really. I don't need to explain.
See, we could get you a mandrel support.
This is another specialised job, moulding plaster. Some of the patterns are traditional, very intricate sort of thing. Specialised, I suppose you could say. This house, known as the Beeches, was built in 1936 by James Austin Evans. Dr. Moffat lived here for a number of years, and young Bertie sold the house in 1963 to the present family, a firm of solicitors actually, called Ballantyne. Mr. Ballantyne Sr. was town solicitor in his day. It is said that the bricks for this building came from Scotland. If not individually wrapped, they were wrapped at least in small quantities so as to preserve the finish. It certainly outlasted the years. Next door neighbour, house built in 1966, now occupied by Nigel Turner and family. I think Nigel is a baker by trade. He's got a magnificent place here. He has it in great order too. Approaching the village now from the Ballymena side, this is known as Finnegan's Garage. The original Finnegan brothers built these houses here just about the time the garage was built, indeed, although the garage had developed since. They specialised more in motor engineering, repairs, and sell petrol, etc. Now moving nearer the village, this wee church was built in 1864. It was originally called the Chapel of Ease, but later Church of the Immaculate Conception. Cullybackey has for many years been in the ecclesiastical parish of Oahu, and the priest of that district also serves here and has done for many years. Prior to 1865, services were held in local houses as far back as 1750. The present charge is Father Wahagan from Oahu, and he was very courteous to me when I made inquiries about permission to film on the premises. I remember Father McGowan being here in my father's time and when I was at school. As you see, the building is kept in excellent repair. Unfortunately, some foolish vandals some time ago damaged the roof of the annex, much to the disgust of the local residents. But restoration has been effective. A credit, I think, to the congregation. This is the end of Station Road and Old Road, and the junction of the Ballymena Road as well. Mr. Surgeoner lives there now. It used to belong to Bridget McGuigan in the early days. There's a picture of the old house as it used to be. See the old stone walls in poor condition. I think there's snow on the ground there actually. But as I say, there's been changes, renovations since that. That's the Ballymena Road, the main road. There's the site of the old National School, which was built in 1819 and was used up to 1900 when a new school was built at Main Street, and that has been replaced again. That's the common yard, which was shared by Bridget McGuigan and Ellen Stewart, who's a kind old lady who lived down in that house. That's it, but it's been extended since then. Ellen was a very kind, gracious lady. Many a sweet or two she gave me on a Saturday morning when I was round with the milk. Our front door was along there, just where that window is. That was Johnny Dara and Willie Russell, the painter, lived there. There used to be two houses. That's Mrs. Bell's bungalow in its entirety. There's the front of the school, or used to be the school. Jack and Agnes Carleton live there now. There's their garden, and the pair of them themselves. Jack's interested in pigeons. He's got quite a few there. I used to keep pigeons, but my father discouraged me because we lived on a farm and, well, we were getting into seed and all sorts of things. Sammy Spears lives there now. He's a brother to Agnes next door. He is also a driving instructor and a hardware shopkeeper. He has several sources of income. There's an illustration of what the old school was like before demolition. A handyman called Johnny McCauley lived there, and Granny Russell lived along there. There's me near Granny Russell. In fact, there's Russells on both sides. There's a wee loft up there. Johnny used to sleep there. That's Jack and Agnes loaned me an old photograph of the building, but just when it was in the process of being demolished. That's what it looked like. That's a view from the Ballymena roadside. I can remember that actually when I was round with the milk. There were some changes since then, as we all know. There's a view taken across the top of the Reformed Presbyterian Church graveyard. Station Road. It's life. There's a house at the end here, used to be Miss Crossman's shop. Mrs. Stewart owned it and lived above it. And her daughter married a man called Joe Reed, who was a watchmaker, who was a very good repairman. He was very, very busy. Unfortunately, he died quite young. He had a heart attack, I think. His widow there kindly allowed me to get that information, take a photograph. Miss Crossman used to own that in the old days. It was a grocery shop. And John Evans had a shoemaking place on it for a period. And Sammy Duff had a cycle shop for some time. Morris McClenaghan, my good friend, lives along at number 7. I remember Mrs. Essler used to live down the Gateway. Hughie was a plasterer, did some work for my father. I used to like Margaret. I thought you were a great girl. But we shouldn't say like that in public. That's another view of the station road. That's just across where the village pump was, across the street. I just thought it would be nice to have a look at those ponies and foals, or mare and foals. I think that would be Lockridge's field, or used to be. Lockridge the blacksmith, who we'll be talking to later, I hope. Billy was at school with me, Billy Lockridge. I'm making him old now by saying that. That's a car park belonged to the Reformed Presbyterian Church in the background there. Another view of the street. Hasn't changed much over the years. A lot of new porches built on and so on, and maybe re-roofed and whatever. And they changed hands. There's one there, has been sold recently. And then the new people usually renovate them or make changes to them. Jim Mars, a taxi man, lived across the road here. And his son Austin's in the house now. Jack and Jill Evans, twins. Jack and Jill, I think, was 15 minutes before Jack.
That's gone. Because you're
Jack and very nice people. They're descendants from neighbours of ours, Orrs. Her mother was Orr. That was Miss McClenaghan that used to have a paper shop there. She might be related to Morris. I think she might be an aunt. My brother Tommy lived there, and that was Mr. Stewart next door. There's the end of Ballymena there. The view from the other direction. Some of these older houses are being changed hands and being renovated. There's quite a successful business there. It used to be Gaston owned that hardware shop, and then it's been developed here. I think Gaston's built that out shop on it. Mr. Marks and the family have a double business. He's a milk distribution business as well. It's quite busy, and I'm sure that's maybe his second or third load there he's on there. It takes him a while to go around everybody. There's the end of Ballymena. Comparatively new estate, but quite a number of years, really. There's a nice garden there. The ladies knocked the doors and nobody at home, but I asked the lady at the guard to be her sister. It'd be all right, she said. I'm sure it would be. Just looking at the flowers would do no harm. But like these, they're a very nice garden. That's the lady's sister there. And I asked, I forget her name, that's bad manners, but I didn't jot it down at the time. There's the old railway station. Well, it's not any older than the rest, but it's not used for passengers so much now. This is above the station. Andy Buick, or his princess. There's a nice cottage there now. I think it used to be owned by McFall, and then Dickey, now Sam Adams. Whoever makes those signs, I think there's quite a few of them through the country. I must investigate who makes those. Quite well done. There's some garden ornaments. There's 2 milk cans there. They've been decorated, as you see, quite attractive. Nice flowers in them, and roses. The name Lockridge has for several lifetimes been synonymous with blacksmith shops and metalworking. There was a Lockridge forge at Clough Village many, many years ago to service the horse-drawn coaches travelling to and from Ballymena from Antrim and Belfast. Billy here is the last of the row, you might say. He's about retired now, and his father before him lived and worked here. They had a farm as well. I'm going to stay with Billy now for a while to see the outfit here. His father was James Lockridge. That machinery, I understand, was installed mainly by themselves over a period, no doubt. Billy was really brought up in the smithy's business. He had to farm as well, of course, in his youth. In school he used to be able to fold up paper and things and have redesigned, you know. It was just that born in them to be engineering ability. And they used to have hands, of course. That saves an extra smithy having the sledge. There used to be 2 have to do that job. One with the sledgehammer and another holding the finish the good, or the item to be hammered. When the main works was going, there was a big lot of parts made here and repair work done to the plant machinery. There were another exercise to an extent. The original furnace was blown, I think, by hand bellows, but then that wee motorised pumps put in. Billy's explaining to me the art of case hardening steel, chisel points, etc.
Clean that bit, that punches up. Whenever you colour white, the better heat.
They made a lot of peach spades in the early days for the farming community.
A certain angle with it.
And Billy was explaining to me
Well, how do you connect the shaft? What I see it's a box shape.
the forming of the metal
You push the shaft into it.
and the material to use and so on, so that it would be a lasting job. Like anything else, I suppose there's a right and wrong way, or an easy way and an awkward way of doing it. Their experience has taught them the best way. Apparently their peach spades were very popular with those who used them because there's a sharp edge, a hardened edge on them, which wasn't on all peach spades. This was because they set on a piece of extra hard steel when they were forging the whole thing, and it stood up to the use or abuse that it got. He was showing me there where they set on a piece of hardened steel before they hammered up together. Then they hardened the edge again, similar to what he showed me there. Cooled it quickly and so on. Beside Billy Lockridge's premises there are many new houses built and many being built. But we're going back the way we came, in the direction of the centre of the village, turning left at the upper side of the railway station. This house to the left was known as Grant's Bungalow. In the 50s, an electrical firm called Grant, Hector and Company was established, and indeed family descendants still run a similar but a more advanced operation today. Tommy Watterson still lives in the bungalow. He's a relation as well. He's got a hire business of his own actually at the moment, plant hire. I understand the lodge have plans to redecorate the Orange Hall as soon as conditions allow. At the lower end of Station Road is the main Ballymena Road to the left here. That will take you directly to Ballymena. And then immediately left is the old Ballymena Road, not used so much now for heavy traffic anyway, but it is quite busy. There's another building site away at the top of the next hill over the railway. A local man said there's going to be a wee tuna houses. They're in preparation of building at the moment. We're turning left here to Fendale Park, a privately owned nest of 59 houses. They're all good gardeners along here. You don't see much evidence of the gardens, but they're on the other side of the houses. They have won quite a few prizes indeed for the competitions. Then there's a lot of houses called Spence Crescent. There's 33 in there, called after a very popular late mayor of Ballymena, Sandy Spence. He was in office continuously for 15 years. Very, very popular man. He's half retired now, but he still keeps quite active. Very many interests. And I think we'll finish off now. Thank you for watching. I hope you saw and heard something of interest. Bye-bye.